Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-936-5496.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-936-5496.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Today we'll see south-southeasterly winds increase 20 to 30 miles per hour, gusting to 45, pushing highs into the low 60s. Fire weather conditions may be elevated. Morning clouds and skies become partly cloudy in the afternoon. Tonight will be breezy with increasing clouds, lows in the upper 30s. Tomorrow, a high-pressure ridge will build over the southwest, warming temperatures into the low 80s. There will be some clouds and winds will turn into the southwest around 10 miles per hour. Lows will be mild in the upper 40s. Wednesday, the ridge will flatten over the southern plains, and peak heat will be back over the area. Highs will be in the lower 90s, possibly breaking records under sunny skies and west-northwesterly winds at 10 to 20, gusting to 25 miles per hour. Again, may elevate fire weather condition. Lows will be in the mid-40s. Thursday, highs will drop into the upper 60s. This meteorologist Chris Schromick of the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Get ready for the 10th annual Schilling Cattle Production Sale. It's happening Wednesday, March 25th at 1 p.m. Central Time in Brewster, Kansas. We're selling 50 Angus bulls, 2 Linflex bulls, and 20 Angus heifers. Big, stout, performance-driven cattle with an excellent selection of Calvinese bulls. You can check out the cattle on Facebook at Schilling Cattle and watch the sale live on DV Auction. Come see great cattle, meet great people, and enjoy some fantastic food. Mark your calendar now for the Schilling Cattle Production Sale on Wednesday, March 25th.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
At Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic, they believe in promoting healthier living through compassionate quality care. From state-of-the-art maternity care to life-saving emergency services, their dedicated team is there for you and your family. Whether it's managing diabetes, navigating recovery, or receiving specialized treatments, they're committed to your well-being. Discover the difference a community-focused hospital can make. Visit rayhospital.org today to learn more. Ray Community District Hospital and Clinic. Your health, our priority.
When you gotta go, but there's nowhere to go, who you gonna call? Topside Portables and Pumping, that's who. Weddings, job sites, farm parties, they've got clean, reliable porta potties that don't stink, literally. And if your septic tank smells worse than last year's chili cook-off, they'll pump it out fast. No mess, no fuss. Family owned, Heartland values, always ready. Call 785-728-8089. That's 728-8089. Topside Portables and Pumping. When duty calls, they answer.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
At Eckland Insurance, they understand your unique needs. Whether you're a farmer protecting your farm and ranch, or you need commercial or personal insurance for your home, health, or auto, the team at Eckland Insurance has you covered. Their consultative approach ensures you get the best advice tailored to your situation. They shop around for the best insurance products, so you don't have to. Eckland Insurance, your trusted partner in comprehensive coverage. Stop by today to talk to one of their agents at 1628 Caldwell Avenue in Goodland.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
I'm old, I'm white, and I don't understand any of it.
The High Plains only local sports talk show, broadcasting live on Goodlands Rocket 102.5 and video streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Guy is everywhere.
Covering it all from the preps to the pros.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City!
The Blitz is presented by Pearl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, along with
Pestaway LLC, Topside Portables and Pumping, Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell, and the Insurance Agency.
Let's go to work.
By Djokovic, but he missed it. Rebound, Illinois. 3-on-2. Big C hammers it in. He hammers it in. He says, there's how you dunk the basketball.
Sharp, he wants to attack. Sharp to the basket, 2 and a foul.
Wow.
Sharp foul by Dominguez.
Wow.
It gets it to fall off the glass for 2.
White drives, leans in, shoots, no foul call. Tip back to White, right back up and in. Somebody batted it backwards, and Trey White was Johnny on the spot.
In the paint, shot on the way, no good. Rebound, Nebraska. Huskers have it, 9 seconds left to go. What a crush time like Price. Price to Schrager. Layup. Yes! Yes! It's got 2.2.
Happy Monday morning, everybody. We are back here on the Morning Blitz on this March the 23rd. A nice, beautiful 35-degree start on our way to a high in the low 60s to kick off this. This is the final full week of March here in 2026. Glad to be back with you here on the Morning Blitz, everybody. It was a fun time. I received plenty of text messages from listeners, from friends throughout my time down in Oklahoma City, watching the NCAA tournament where, yes, I did witness history. That was probably one of my ultimate goals, was I was hoping to witness history, and mission accomplished. Nebraska men's basketball not only winning their first ever NCAA tournament basketball game, but also advancing to their first ever Sweet 16 with an unbelievable win. Maybe the game of the tournament, in a win over Vanderbilt in front of a hostile and absolutely crazy Nebraska crowd, which brought anywhere between, I'm guessing, 11 to 13,000 fans down south to Oklahoma City. It was, for those who are curious, and if you want to have questions or anything like that, or want to touch on anything, of course, the FEBank text line is open at 785-899-2222. But it was one of the crazier scenes you'll ever see. And it started really on the night I was going down. Wednesday night, we were traveling down, and the amount of Nebraska plates that I saw going down I-35 was not surprising. I figured it was going to be a big crowd. But it was crazy to see all those plates going down. And then coming back, it was even more ridiculous because everybody pretty much left Sunday morning and was heading back, and like we were. And to see all the Nebraska plates and stopping off at a restaurant or a rest stop or something and seeing all the red, it was crazy. I think it just kind of goes to say that there's not many fan bases probably any better than Nebraska's. They are there to support their team, and there's great stories. A couple of my favorite stories, if you didn't see this on social media, Nebraska went down there and pretty much drank the entire Oklahoma City bar scene out of alcohol. I was in a couple of establishments, and they were out of beer on Saturday at noon in some spots. It's amazing that they're one of my favorite stories. Toby Keith's bar. There were people ordering Busch Lights, and he goes, "Busch Light, we're completely out of it. We don't even have it until this week." And he goes, "I didn't even know that they still made that stuff." So there's hilarious stories from that trip down to Oklahoma City. We had such a great time. It was a blast. It was like I said, the coolest thing for me was getting to pretty much witness history with my mom, who's a humongous Husker fan, my dad, my wife. So it was a lot of fun. To go down there, and also to spend some time with some family friends, which we spent time with down there in OKC. So it was an absolute blast. We had a great time, memories that will last forever, and a lot of good stories as well. So anyway, we got a full show ahead today. We've got, of course, plenty to get to, recapping the first weekend of the NCAA tournament from the men's side. And my good friend Riley Gates will be joining us to do that. He was watching college basketball this weekend. And so we'll be talking with him about NCAA tournament stuff. We will get to plenty of things in the leftovers. But as we all know, it is a Monday, and that only means one thing.
There are two kinds of people in this world.
There's winners and there's losers.
Which ones were which this past weekend?
I want winners. Loser! You're a loser!
It's the weekend's winners and losers on the Morning Blitz.
Want to be a winner, be a winner.
Weekend winners get us going here on this Monday. If you want to get your weekend winners or losers in, 785-899-2222, the number to call, or to text to be a part of the Morning Blitz. I mean, you could call the number, but answering the phone is very challenging when you're on the air by yourself. So weekend winners, I mean, an obvious first winner, no doubt about it, is Nebraska men's basketball. Like I said, in the Sweet 16 now for the first time ever after not even winning an NCAA tournament game going into this year's tournament. It was just amazing walking into the arena on Thursday morning. You're walking in there. I mean, you've seen the plates going down. You're there. It's like walking in South. It's like Lincoln South. You're walking around during a game day and you see all the red people walking around the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. And you get into the arena and and we got there, golly, probably a good 40, 45 minutes before the tip off. And so players are not even on the floor yet by the time we get in there. And the reason for that was because we went down there to have a little pregame fun, but there were minimal establishments that were open at that time. Oklahoma City was not prepared for what was to happen. I mean, downtown Oklahoma City probably had a record-breaking March when it came to the amount of money that was spent in hotels, bars, restaurants. It was a record month. One of my other favorite tweets, somebody said, they had Saturday afternoon mass at a Catholic church, their local by. They had 700, it holds 700. They said it was practically full and a majority of it was red, which was even funny still. But nonetheless, they were not prepared for it. They just weren't. They didn't have enough staff they didn't think they didn't have enough staff on hand. They didn't have enough alcohol on hand. There were places running out. They didn't have enough room in some places. And so anyway, that led to us getting into the arena early. And it was just amazing to hear the crowd fill up. And before that tip off, when they were doing the starting lineups, you could just feel the energy and stuff just buzzing. I mean, it made your hair stand up on your arms. And then to have them go on and win convincingly. So it was like a party during the second half of that first game for Nebraska. It was a ton of fun. It was so much fun. It felt like it was a lot of very cathartic, a lot of vindication when that first NCAA tournament win gets done. And then Saturday, it was just my mind was just like, hey, if they win today, it's gravy. It's gravy if they win today because they got that first win and that monkey off their back. And if they win today, awesome. And to see Nebraska get out to a nice lead, fight to hang around despite Vanderbilt knocking in 10 3-pointers in the second half. They were unconscious in the second half. Credit to them. Tyler Tanner is a dude, the point guard for Vanderbilt. He is such a star. And they did a great job that entire game. But, Nebraska got the one stop they absolutely had to have, made the layup, and then a little bit of lady luck on their side as well as that three-quarter court shot banked off the backboard around the cylinder and out, rattled out of the cylinder, I should say, despite being halfway down. I love another social media message I saw. It was the collective of Husker fans that sucked the basketball out of the rim. That was another another thing I saw that I thought was pretty funny. But it was just amazing. It was amazing to see that entire weekend happen, to see the fan support. I mean, after they win that Sweet 16 game, nobody left for 20 minutes. It was a party in the arena for 20 minutes after the game, and the players going around the outside of the arena, shaking hands. It was just it's the reason why we love sports. It's the reason why we love it is because of those moments right there. A unification between a team and a fan base. I've seen it many times before. I've seen it covering state championships here at Goodland. It's a unification between a team and a community. And it's such an amazing thing to be a part of and to see. But Nebraska men's basketball, the first winner of the weekend, obviously. Never winning an NCAA tournament game to now in the Sweet 16, where they face, in unbelievable circumstances, their rivals Iowa, who knocked off the first number 1 seed of this year's tournament and defending champions Florida yesterday on a last-second three-pointer themselves. So it's Nebraska and Iowa in Houston for a chance to go to the Elite Eight. I don't know if I love this matchup being right up out of the gates. I mean, both teams know each other very well. Both teams have already played twice this year, and they both won once. And so it is the rubber match game. I guess I look at it this way. If you lose, it's going to sting extra hard because not only did you lose the game to go to the Elite Eight, but you lost to your rivals who have owned you in football and other sports. It was, I think, the basketball win here this previous month. Actually, I think it was earlier this month. Was only I think it snapped like a 5 or 6 game losing streak to Iowa in basketball too. I mean, it's been hard, but if, and it's a big if you can win, it's going to be extra sweet to go to the Elite Eight and to knock off and end the season for your rival. That'll be amazing. So first winner of the weekend, Nebraska men's basketball. What a weekend it was. A ton of fun. So blessed to be a part of it. And look forward to Thursday. Early app they play. I think it's at Thursday, 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain Time is going to be tip off there between Nebraska and Iowa with a shot at the Elite Eight on the line. By the way, tip of the cap to Iowa. I don't like Iowa, but you know me, I do love Bennett Sturts and I do love Ben McCollum. And those guys, they've done an amazing job getting to the point to where they are at this point in time in the season. It'll be very hard for me because we have Goodland Cowboy Baseball and Colby Baseball on Rocket 1025 with the baseball season opener here locally. It'll be hard to focus on that and also, of course, have the Elite Eight going on. So that'll be interesting, but we'll make her work. So Nebraska men's basketball, first winner of the weekend. Some other winners of the weekend. Salute to Colby Community College softball, second winner of the weekend. CCC softball, a great weekend. They go a perfect 4-0. They sweep Butler and Seward, and the Butler series is one interest to me. Now, I don't know. I don't remember what happened last year, but that had to be one of the first times in a long time that they have swept Butler. Butler is usually, not this year, but usually has been in recent years a powerhouse program there for Butler. They are a powerhouse program. But Colby sweeps them and then sweeps Seward, and they go 4-0. And with that, they are now 16-12 overall, 10-2 in Jayhawk Conference games, which puts them atop of the Jayhawk Conference standings. So congratulations to their team on a phenomenal start to conference play. It's kind of been a rocky non-conference slate, but you get out of that and you look at what's happened in the conference, and they've played very, very well. So Colby Community College softball, a winner of the weekend. They go 4-0, sweep Butler and Seward this weekend, and then get themselves atop of the KJCCC conference standings. So congratulations, Colby Community College softball, a winner of the weekend. Another winner, somewhat with a local tie, but Oklahoma State women's basketball head coach and Hoxie native J.C. Hoyt. Coach Hoyt led Oklahoma State to a win over Princeton in the first round. I think that was on Saturday. 82-68 was the final score there. That game played at Westwood on the campus of UCLA. And Oklahoma State gets their win. I think they play again here tonight. I have to look up what that game is off the top of my head. But they get a win, convincing win. It's her first tournament win as a head coach. And for her, coming from Hoxie, where she was an amazing athlete herself, and the way that she has worked her way up, from Fort Hays State to Kansas State and UMKC with some other stops in there as well to now Oklahoma State, and now winning her first NCAA tournament game as a head coach. That's very cool. And to see it happen for a local, original local here from Northwest Kansas, it's pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool to see. Congratulations to J.C. Hoyt, Oklahoma State women's basketball coach and Hoxie native. She captured her first NCAA tournament win this past weekend there with the win over Princeton. I was going to quickly look up and see who they play today. I'm going to look that up real quickly here, and someone may beat me on the FB Bank text line. Honestly, you can if you want to. See if I can find this real quickly. Maybe I am wrong on that. Maybe Oklahoma play. Oh, that was Sunday. What's today? This is what I want. Thank you. Monday. Oklahoma State plays at, no, of course, yes, they have a very tough draw. For those who don't know, Oklahoma State will play in the second round against UCLA, the number one seed in that bracket, and probably the proverbial favorite. In fact, UCLA is a 26.5-point favorite in this game against Oklahoma State. So maybe she can make her mark even bigger if she can knock off the best team in women's college basketball in UCLA. That'd be amazing. But anyway, congratulations, Jason Witt. She is a winner of the weekend with getting her first ever tournament win as a head coach, the Hoxie native. Weekend winners and losers here on a Monday morning here on the Morning Blitz. So glad you decided to join us, no matter which way you are listening, whether it is, of course, online on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on X, Facebook, or YouTube, or if you're joining us, of course, on the radio on Rocket 1025, KLOE, or NWKSradio.net, or through a mobile device. Appreciate you tuning in and listening today. Let's see here. Another quick question here from Brian. Did I make it down to the court to shake hands? I did not. I did not make it down to the court to shake hands. I did not make it down. It would have been a little bit of a trek to get down there. I did not make it down. I just kind of sat back and just kind of witnessed it all, Brian. Did not make it down to the court. So anyway. So there's your weekend winners here in segment 1. Weekend losers real quickly. I've got really one big weekend winner and one small one. I'll start with the small one. It was another tough weekend for Colby Community College baseball. Trojan baseball lost all 4 games to Cloud County. And all of them but one were pretty convincing. But we talked about it more last weekend about the Trojans and their pitching and just allowing double-digit runs. It's very, very hard to win, and that continued as all 4 losses they had this weekend were double-digit runs. But they are 0-12 in the Jayhawk and tied for last place in the Jayhawk Conference with Pratt at this point in time at 0-12. It's been a very rough start for Colby Community College baseball, who once again had a tough weekend, losing all 4 of their games to Cloud County. Looking at my biggest loser of the weekend, biggest loser of this past weekend, and it's kind of an odd one, but it's based upon the NCAA tournament. The biggest loser of the weekend is the NCAA and their talks of tournament expansion. That, to me, I think it is the dumbest thing that we are talking about, tournament expansion for any of these tournaments, women's or men's, it doesn't matter. Expanding the tournament to whatever you want to expand it to, whether it's 96 or 80-something or 84, whatever it is, I think it is dumb. I went back and looked at the math. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some amazing games. The Iowa game was fantastic yesterday. The Kansas game in a loss, and more on that coming up in a little bit later on in the show. But, the Kansas game in a loss was a great one from yesterday. Virginia, Tennessee was a fine game. And then you can go back. There were some other, Nebraska Vanderbilt was a good game, and High Point, Wisconsin was a good game. There was a handful of some good games. Don't get me wrong. Santa Clara, Kentucky was a great game. But if you go back and you look through the first 2 rounds of this NCAA tournament, and I was doing this going into yesterday, and I'm going to add, there's at least 1, 2 more. There were a total of 20 games in the first round that were decided by 20 or more points. 20 games were decided by 20 or more points. That's how lopsided the first round was. There were some good games, but there were as a majority of games that were not competitive or exciting whatsoever. Simple as that. They were blowouts. 18 games were decided by 20 points or more. Now, the NCAA is talking tournament expansion because they need more money. That's the biggest reason why. And they know that if they put more games out there to be available, that television contracts will buy them up and they will broadcast them. And guess what? We as fans will watch them because there's not much else really on at this point in time. But overall, the NCAA tournament does not need to be expanded. The gap between the good and the great, or the good and the better, is pretty wide. It's pretty darn wide because of the amount of money that is being spent in college basketball. The amount of money that's getting spent. in some rosters is ridiculous. The tournament does not need to be expanded. It does not need to happen. Once again, 20 games were decided by 20 or more points. Look, if it was 10, that's one thing. 20, it's a blowout. I mean, in high school basketball, you're only 10 points away from a running clock. I mean, and this is the best of the best in college basketball. And you're having a ton of lopsided games. There were a lot of lopsided games in the first round. They do not need to expand it. They don't. But they're going to find any way that they can because they need more money. Because of NIL and stuff, and they used to be a humongous cash cow. They used to bring in all this money and didn't have to spend anywhere. But now they have to do it, and they got to find a way to make more money. So tournament expansion talk will continue. But it's a loser of the weekend because it just does not, that conversation needs to be halted. The tournament does not need more games because over half of those games, I don't want to say over half, but a good majority of them, 20 games in the first two rounds of the men's NCAA tournament were decided by 20 or more points. That's not good basketball. It's not entertaining basketball. It's just not. And one more loser of the weekend, just to throw a little salt on the wound. Kentucky basketball loser of the weekend. Kentucky didn't even make it out of the first weekend. It took a miracle for them to advance out of the first round. They beat Santa Clara in overtime thanks to a half-court shot that went in. But it was a miracle there to go to overtime and then to beat Santa Clara in overtime. But then Kentucky's season came to an end yesterday as they lost badly to Iowa State, 82-60. They were outscored in the second half, 51-33 alone. The reason why Kentucky basketball loser of the weekend, they had the most expensive roster in all of college basketball. It has been released. They had a $22 million college basketball roster. $22 million. By far the biggest. By probably about 2 to 4 million, somewhere in that range. But and guess what? You went 22-14. You paid $1 million for every win this year. If you're Kentucky basketball. 22-14. You don't make it out of the first weekend with the most expensive roster in men's college basketball. No doubt a loser of the weekend. It's not that you have the money. It's how you spend the money. Mark Pope has got a lot of pressure if he's going to get this kind of money again, which I'm guessing he will, to go out and get the right guys to try and go deeper into the tournament because that is unacceptable in Big Blue Nation. To be out after the first weekend, particularly with the amount of money invested in that at $22 million. Absolutely crazy. There you go. Weekend winners and losers here on the Morning Blitz. Let's see here. Jared says, it's sad and it is funny. Officer Jared. It's sad and it's funny. Yes, Dr. Evil. $22 million. Larry coming in here saying, Iowa may have done Nebraska a favor. I feel your odds of winning are better against Iowa than Florida. Should be a great game. Fred will have him ready for the rubber match. Very exciting times in Nebraska. You're right, Larry. It probably is a better matchup for Nebraska. Florida is big, and Nebraska really struggles with super big teams. So that is good. Iowa's playing with a lot of confidence right now. And the way Iowa plays, that you slow down and just burn off clock and just shorten up the games. The way they play, particularly when they make shots, is a very difficult thing. And I don't know what to think of that game, honestly, Larry. I think Nebraska opened up, as a 2 or 3.5 point favorite, but we'll see. Ben McCollum's a fantastic coach, and they've done a heck of a job. Michael on the EpiBank text line, 785-899-2222. His winner of the weekend is Coach Bill Self. He put 2 teams together this season, one with Darren Peterson and one without Rock Chalk. True, he did do that, and he did make it to the he made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament, although Kansas season ends 67-65. I'll have some audio from Coach Self in the leftovers. I think Coach Bull says, hope he stays. Do you mean, Michael, do you mean Darren Peterson or do you mean Bill Self? Because there was a comment made by Bill Self, or a question asked to Bill if he would be back next year. And he said he had to kind of talk with his family and see, because he has had a few health scares here this previous year or two. So you're talking about Darren Peterson because he's not back. Bill Self did say in the comments that he felt bad for the seniors and for Darren, who are ending their careers. So he knows he will not be back. But you did. Okay, so Michael says it was Coach Self. Yeah. It'd be a humongous loss a humongous loss if Coach Self does not come back. He's one of the best coaches, if not the best, out there. Okay, let's get to a break. 7:32 Mountain, 8:32 Central Time here on a Monday. We come back. Riley Gates will join the program. We'll get his thoughts on the first weekend of the men's NCAA basketball tournament. Next, you're listening to a Monday edition of the Morning Blitz.
Are pests making your home or business uncomfortable? Call Pest Away in Goodland, Kansas, serving all of Northwest Kansas. They provide top-notch pest control services to keep your space safe and pest-free. From ants to rodents, termites to spiders, our expert team is here to help with effective, safe, and affordable pest control solutions. Don't wait. Call Pest Away today at 785-728-7166 for fast, reliable service. Your home or business deserves the best protection.
First class, top notch, second to none. All these phrases can be used to describe the parts and service department at Western Sprinklers in Colby. Their service team is experienced and trained, and their parts department is always stocked and ready for repairs, not only for Valley, but for most irrigation systems. You add it all up, and you'll see why they're the best in the West at Western Sprinklers, where irrigation isn't a sideline, it's their specialty.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
This is Austin Wright, the Anderson's Trade Group, and your morning market update. It is March 23rd. May corn, $461 1/4. July corn, $472. September corn, $474. May KC wheat, $597 3/4. July KC wheat, $613. September KC wheat, $627 3/4. May soybeans, $1158 3/4. July soybeans, $1174 1/4. August soybeans, $1168 1/2. Dow Jones futures are currently up 966 points at 46,859. S&P 500 futures are currently up 127 points at 6,686. NASDAQ futures are currently up 488 points at 24,598. And gold is currently down $105 at $4,469. Crude is currently down $8.76 at $89.47. For your grain marketing needs or more information on our Freedom pricing tools, you can reach the Kansas City office, Jared Law, Tyler Gosch, Tom Saludo at 913-748-3000. In Colorado, John Hankey and John South, 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
If you're buying or selling cattle, make your
homeowners have counted on Thrasher to keep basements dry and homes protected. With over 34,000 five-star reviews and more than 200,000 happy customers, Thrasher is the name homeowners trust. Schedule your free home inspection today at gothrasher.com.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Missed the weekend action?
Yes, you caught me.
No worries. We've got all the highlights and lowlights covered.
Hey, okay, well, catch me up.
This is the Morning Blitz with Russ Volkmer.
FB Bank text line continue to pop up with some questions and thoughts here. One texter. New texter not new texter, but an unnamed texter says he's been away from the show a couple weeks. Where is Connor? For those who don't know, Connor Shue is no longer on the program, no longer with us. He has taken a position in minor league baseball. So he left to go cover minor league baseball starting up here, I think, in early April. This same texter has a random thought. He says, take the 64 teams. He's talking about the NCAA tournament and how it does not need to expand. He says, take the 64 teams, split into 2 brackets. 32 of the highest budgets in basketball are in one bracket, and the next 32 are dollars for for the next 32 and the lower budgets of basketball, level playing field. I don't know. I mean, it's a great thought. I just think that I just think you're just gonna have to deal with this until and if they do find a way to put the budget together and get a few things taken care of that way. I just think what they're gonna have to do. Riley Gates joins us on the phone. Good morning, Riley. How are we doing today?
I'm good. I'm not on vacation right now. So you successfully got me not on a trip.
Well, I figured if I hit you up this time, I figured he can't be on vacation now. He just got back a couple weeks ago. He doesn't go every 2 weeks, does he? So
I am vacationing in nice, chilly Hutchinson, Kansas, in my home right now. That's the extent of my vacation.
But that's probably one of the best places to be for the weekend that was, correct?
Correct. And then I also went back to Beloit this weekend for the school benefit auction, and that always turns into quite the night. So it's good to be home and sleeping in my bed and just doing that, and we're good with it.
So you've recovered from the benefit auction, is what you're saying?
We've recovered.
Attaboy. Glad to hear it. I'm sure you had plenty of time to put your feet up or keep typing on the keyboard as you watched some March Madness get underway here this previous weekend. What were some of your bigger takeaways, some more interesting storylines that you thought from this first weekend?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest one that's standing out to everyone, and you kind of just have to point to it, is the fact that Florida went down. For the last year and a half, all that I've been hearing is, oh, NIL and the transfer portal killed March Madness. There's never going to be any more Cinderellas. It's just going to be chalk all the time. And I'm not really classifying Iowa as a Cinderella story or anything. That's not the definition, but it proved that that's just not true. Like, yeah, we're going to continue to have, Duke and Michigan. They're going to have, in Florida, we'll be back too. They're going to have good teams because they can afford to buy good players and they have a good coach. Shocker, that's going to get you pretty far in March Madness, but that doesn't mean that you're going to lose, or you're never going to lose to a lesser team. And even yesterday, it's not like Florida just missed everything. They even made the push. I think they got up 4. I was like, oh my gosh, they're not even going to win. They're going to cover the original 10.5 point spread. But then Iowa just punched back. So I think that really kind of showed a lot to me that while everybody's sitting here complaining about that and acting like the NCAA tournament's no longer fun, hey, look at this. We've still got it.
Riley Gates, our guest on 3 Sports, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline this Monday after the first round of the men's NCAA basketball tournament is complete. I was one of my biggest talks about in the first segment, Riley, was about NCAA tournament expansion, how I don't think this tournament needs to expand because there's already, even though obviously we would watch it, unfortunately, but there were so many lopsided games. Were you surprised by the amount of lopsided games in the first 2 rounds of this tournament? By that, I mean, 20 more points.
Yeah, no, I mean, that you kind of hit my point on the head. That's exactly what I would point to if anybody argued for expansion. The thing is, it's like the NFL. I don't want the NFL to go to 18 games, but I also didn't want the NFL to go to 17 games. And guess what? I watched all 17 Cowboys games this year. So they're going to get what they want if they expand it. But yeah, no, I mean, here's the deal, man. Like, if we expanded it, like we had a bubble conversation about Auburn, and I think Auburn was like 18-17 or something this year. And it's like, man, at some point you got to understand this isn't like a right that you get as a school. We get to go play in the NCAA tournament just because that's what we do. It's the right to play for a national championship. Like that's what it is at the end of the day. Now, when the bracket's at 64 teams and you're looking at 116, 314, whatever, like, no, nobody's looking at the 14 seed like, oh, that's a team that could try to win a national championship. But they're just 6 games away from winning a national championship. So at some point, you got to actually earn your way into the conversation of actually being a national championship contender. And I think even going up to 72 games would really make or 72 teams would really make us like water down the product even that much more. At the end of the day, we're still going to get the good teams that really kind of make a push, Elite Eight, Final Four if they expand. But no, I don't want to see it. I mean, I watched the Dayton games and a couple of them were fun, but like, and you can always bet on the game. So it's always entertaining, but like, I don't even like the Dayton game, man. Even though your K-State went to Dayton, I was just like, God, this is just not, because it's 4 teams that were just friends. I mean, granted, the 6 teams won their conference, so they were already in, and it kind of puts those teams in a bad spot because they shouldn't have to play their way into the bracket. But the Dayton games are just so like not that exciting, not that entertaining, and just like waiting to get to the real thing. So no, I've been adamantly against expansion. I frankly wanted it to get rid of the first 4 and just go back to a 64 team field, but I know that's not how things work. But if they expand, especially until they make an NIL change, like you're going to see 30-point wins in the first round. I mean, it's going to become too much.
Staying on that same topic, about, money and things of that sort, Kentucky had the most expensive roster, according to reports, over $22 million there, and they didn't even make it to the second weekend of the tournament. How important is, in your mind, how important is financially putting together a roster versus, getting the right guys to come together and play as a unit?
Well, I think you got to find that happy middle, right? Because let's pull Iowa again. Let's use them as an example. I don't know Iowa's NIL funding off the top of my head, but they're not reported to be a high major spending. Obviously, they hired Ben McCollum, who was D2, and then goodness, I forget where they pulled him from off the top of my head right now. That's Drake. They got him from Drake. Yeah, there we go. Whew, that was going to be embarrassing. But they're not out here spending $15 million on a roster, right? So they're able to beat Florida. They're able to make the Sweet 16, but I was not probably going to contend for a national championship. Like, I'll be stunned if we're talking about Iowa potentially going to the Final Four. So you have that side of things where, hey, Iowa's built a good roster. They didn't overspend on it. They're a team versus just a collection of guys. But then, yeah, you have Kentucky, who paid a lot of money. You have Kansas State, who paid a lot of money, and they didn't make the tournament. So you got to find that middle. And I think that, I think that's what you're kind of looking at, not to make it all about K-State, but that's kind of what you're looking at for a guy like Casey Alexander, who has not had NIL at Belmont this whole time. Like, he's just been poached year after year. So he kind of knows that side of things. But now he's probably going to get a nice, like, supporting fund. So how does he meet that middle? How does he balance the two things? I think it's really interesting for guys like that. And it's not to say that you can't win spending a bunch of money. Duke's spending a lot of money, and they're going to probably have as good a chance as anybody to win the national championship. But Duke has found that middle that got talked about. They don't really have the guys that are just out there to pick up a check and move on. Like, yeah, Cameron Boozer's getting paid a lot, but Cameron Boozer wants to win. So you got to be able to find that middle.
Our friend Riley Gates on the Hoover Lumber's Hardware Hotline. You mentioned, of course, your Blue Devils that I know you love to follow. What was going through your mind in that first round game against Siena?
I honestly thought they were going to lose, and like I know everyone who, like, when you're cheering for a team, like, oh my God, we're going to lose. It's over. It's over. They were down like 14 or something in the second half, and I was like, they're just not going to hit shots today, and they're just not going to come back. And then that double dunk sequence where Siena missed 2 dunks, Duke came down and hit a 3. I was like, okay, like maybe that's what gets them going. And sure enough, it was. But honestly, they probably would have lost to a lot of other teams that day. Siena didn't have more than 5 guys that could play. It's just, at some point, talent and depth is going to, even Duke's hurt depth right now, is going to overtake 5 people. So I think Duke lucked out a lot. But it's the wake-up call. And I got to be honest, it's kind of getting annoying for me now, because like, you've got the CBS people on there like talking about how Duke wasn't all, like, they were saying like Duke wasn't all that impressive against TCU and they still need to see more. It's like, dude, they pummeled them in the second half. Like, yeah, they looked really bad against the 16 seed and probably should have lost, but like, let's stop playing, like, changing the narrative here, and let's kind of remember this team was really, really good. They got Patrick Gungaba back, and they might be getting Caleb Foster back. So no one's sleeping on Duke. You can't sleep on the number 1 overall seed, but it kind of feels like a lot of the national people have like crossed them off the list just because of the Siena game, and I think that's a little premature.
Who's been the most impressive team to this point in time?
You probably got to say either Houston or Michigan, probably. I would say those two. Maybe Arizona, but they kind of, Utah State made a push yesterday. I wouldn't say I really thought they were going to lose necessarily, but Michigan is just beating the brakes off people. And what I thought was interesting in the Michigan St. Louis game, so they had this one of the sports books had it was a boost. It was Michigan to win and Jaxa Lindenborg to have 15 points. And I was like, I'll throw $20 on that or something, just see what happens. And I'm tracking the whole first half, and Lindenborg's not hardly playing. He's got like 4 points, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And they're beating the brakes off St. Louis. And in the Big Ten Player of the Year is hardly scoring anything. So I've really been impressed by like the fact that because I was not that impressed with Michigan coming in after the way that Duke had beaten them. And then the Big Ten tournament, I thought they were kind of trending down, but they seem to have flipped the switch now. And Houston is just Houston. They're going to strangle the hell out of everybody. This is going to be a fascinating Sweet 16 game for them because you've got Illinois who likes to run and gun and score, and you've got Houston who wants to make it like 62-50. So that's a really intriguing game. I'd probably pick one of those two right now.
Riley Gates to be our guest here from On3 Sports. Before we let you go, I did want to, I think the last time we visited was before Casey Alexander's introductory press conference. Was there anything big you took away from that presser as the new head basketball coach for K-State men's basketball was introduced to the public?
Yeah, I spent all morning telling you how it was going to be Jared Calhoun, and I think 8 hours later, Casey Alexander was the coach. So great call by me. That was real great.
We appreciate you sticking your head out. You stuck your neck on the line. Hey, you made a prediction. It was just wrong. That's all right.
That was crazy. But no, the thing that stood out to me, and it kind of feels silly to say it because this is what everyone wants, but like he was stressing player retention and building a program, which, like I said, a KU fan hears that, they're like, yeah, no duh, like that's what you need. But a K-State fan hears that and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so refreshing because Jerome Tang didn't recruit high school players. Like they didn't have a high school commit. They weren't out on the trail recruiting people. And while it's very exhausting to like follow the storyline of a 17, 18-year-old, where's he going to play school, this and that, like you at least want your team to be in the mix a little bit for that. And you at least want them to not be 12 new guys every single year. And it sounds like that's not the plan for Casey Alexander. Now, this year is going to be that case. I mean, I haven't heard anything. I haven't read anything, but my guess is not one single player from this team is going to be back. Maybe David Castillo and maybe Andre Kostick, but no one said anything about that. Like no one has any information yet. So as far as I'm concerned, they're probably going to overturn the whole roster. So you're going to have to do it the first year, but I think he's going to be able to retain players, and I think he's going to hammer home high school recruiting. I would hope that he gets a couple of his Belmont players to come with him and any of the high school recruits he had, but I think he's going to try to build an actual culture, which you need at K-State right now, especially just to get fan support back. Like nobody really wants to go to basketball games right now just because it's not what K-State fans know and they love and they get excited for. But I think if he can accomplish that culture building and actually having roster continuity, I think they'll come back. So I really wasn't blown away by the press conference. I was blown away by Jerome Tang's press conference, absolutely. But we all know how that worked out. So maybe that's the good thing. Maybe you just want a coach who puts his head down and focuses on the task at hand.
He is Riley Gates of On3 Sports. Riley, thank you so much for joining the show this Monday. Appreciate it, and we'll catch up again down the road.
You betcha. Anytime, man.
Once again, great stuff there. Riley Gates of On3 Sports. All right, let's get to a break. We'll come back. Got some leftovers to get to, including the season coming to an end for the Kansas Jayhawks yesterday in a loss to St. John's. We'll get to all that next here on the Blitz.
Winter weather in northwestern Kansas can change in a hurry. From blowing snow and icy roads to dangerous wind chills, conditions can turn severe before you know it. When storms strike, Turn to NWKS Radio, your trusted source for weather alerts and local coverage. Stay safe, stay prepared, and keep your radio tuned right here for the latest updates all winter long. Severe weather on NWKS Radio is courtesy of Roof Masters of Colby, along with Andrew Flanagan of Farm Bureau Financial Services.
At F&B Bank, we believe local businesses are the heart of our community. That's why we're more than just your bank. We're your neighbor, your customer, and your biggest supporter. From the corner cafe to the hardware store downtown, we're walking the same streets, shopping the same shops, and investing in the same future, yours. We're here, we're local, and we're always in your corner. F&B Bank, banking built on community, member FDIC.
The days are getting longer, the roads are calling, and it's a great time to upgrade your ride at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland. Right now, get 1.9% APR for 36 months on a 2026 GMC Terrain, the perfect SUV for wherever the road takes you. Need a truck? Take advantage of up to $7,000 in rebates on a 26 GMC Sierra 1500 with eligible trade-in. And for serious capability, get $500 bonus cash on a new 2026 GMC 3500. See the full lineup today at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland or online at hurlchev.com.
You can feel it in the air. Longer days, greener lawns, and plenty of projects waiting around the house. Good thing Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland has you covered. Freshen up your home with Benjamin Moore paint, tackle the yard with powerful Ego battery tools, and give your lawn the boost it needs with Stage 1 Ultimate Fertilizer. Thinking about cooking outside? Check out their great selection of grills, griddles, smokers, and outdoor living essentials. And remember, if you need it, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware probably has it. They even have milk. Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your place for just about everything.
Get ready for the 10th annual Schilling Cattle Production Sale. It's happening Wednesday, March 25th at 1 p.m. Central Time in Brewster, Kansas. We're selling 50 Angus bulls, 2 Linflex bulls, and 20 Angus heifers. Big, stout, performance-driven cattle with an excellent selection of Calvinese bulls. You can check out the cattle on Facebook at Schilling Cattle and watch the sale live on DV Auction. Come see great cattle, meet great people, and enjoy some fantastic food. Mark your calendar now for the Schilling Cattle Production Sale on Wednesday, March 25th.
It's not just sports, it's your morning game plan.
I don't even believe you have a plan. I have part of a plan. That is not a plan.
This is the Morning Blitz.
All right, about 5 minutes left to go here on a Monday show. Once again, going to be temperatures in the low 60s. Right now, cloudy and 36 to get your Monday morning going. Cool today. I think cool tomorrow, if my memory serves me right. And then a little bit of a warm-up after that. Tomorrow the warm-up begins with temperatures in the 80s. Actually, I'm going to get to 90 on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll have a little bit of wind and temperatures in the 70s. So we just kind of continue to ride the roller coaster here in springtime, even though spring started here on Friday? Friday is when it started, this previous Friday. Nonetheless, let's get to the leftovers here on the Morning Blitz. Kansas basketball season comes to an end. They lost yesterday afternoon to the St. John's Red Storm, 67-65. A last-second drive there by Dylan Darling to the bucket. It was his only made shot of the game, but it was the one that separated the Johnnies from the Jayhawks. And that resulted in a 2-point win for St. John's over KU, ending the Jayhawks season at 24-11. Kansas got 15 points from Melvin Council, 21 from Darren Peterson, 12 points from Flory Badunga. Got some good minutes, I thought, in the NCAA tournament from Paul Mbia, who I thought played pretty darn well in the NCAA tournament, despite not playing very much in this game. But yeah, a late drive to the bucket. Kansas didn't stop the driver, and he got to the hip hoop and put it off the window and in as the red light lit the backboard, and that was the end of the season for Kansas, which I'm sure was a disappointing season for KU folks as fans. It was an interesting year. You think about it, you go back to the beginning of the Big 12 slate and got off to a rocky start. Darren Peterson wasn't playing very much, was dealing with whatever injuries he was dealing with, kind of got a bad reputation, did Darren Peterson, but then they kind of found their way when he wasn't playing to win some games, and then they went on that great run, late January, early February, where they knocked off a whole bunch of really good teams in a row and solidified their tournament spot, and then kind of stumbled a little bit down the stretch with a loss to Arizona State, and of course a tournament loss as well in the Big 12 tournament. And and then you look at the NCAA tournament, they play Cal Baptist, they're up huge. And then Cal Baptist just storms back and makes that game way more interesting than it needed to be. And then this same kind of thing, and then in the opposite direction, St. John's gets a big lead. KU storms back, but can't quite get it done in the end. Rob, FNB Bank text line says, Darren Peterson is a really good player. However, the rest of the team played so much better earlier without his distractions. That's the thing. And Michael said earlier, Coach Self coached 2 different teams this year, one with Darren Peterson, one without. And it really makes you wonder if you would have stuck with the one that didn't have Darren Peterson. Let's just say Darren Peterson was not on the team for whatever reason. He went somewhere else. How good would this Kansas team be playing in the second weekend? I think there's a good possibility of that. I think there is a good possibility of that happening. Bill Self, post-game, his final thoughts on that final game and a few thoughts on the end of the season from head coach Bill Self.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Didn't play well at all, till the end. But Bryce Hopkins making 6. Of course, we didn't tell him let him shoot, but we did tell him, he's averaging. Was he averaging about a half a make a game? And he makes the first one, so he starts seeing a bigger basket. But that's on us. Other than that, we defended the hell out of them, and we rebounded the ball after the game started remarkably well. Didn't run good offense, and the biggest thing is missed layups and not be able to get the ball in bounds. Just poor execution. I bet we had 4 or 5 turnovers, not being able to get the ball in bounds, and that was obviously, you score on one of those possessions, you probably win the game. Missed a dunk early. You just had when you're coming from behind, you got to take advantage of every situation. Missed a front end there that didn't seem like a huge deal at the time, but obviously that turned out to be a big deal. But the kids battled. They competed. I'm proud of their effort, and certainly, I hate it for everyone, especially the guys that will be finishing their careers here, the seniors and of course Darren. But there were some good things that happened. We played a really good team. We put ourselves in a situation to be a 4 seed instead of a better seed than that. And you're playing arguably the hottest team in the tournament coming in, and we certainly made them sweat late. But our inability to get the ball in bounds and take care of the ball was probably the biggest difference.
Once again, Bill Self, post game. Yeah, he said there's a couple things, and one thing he said in the interview was, feel bad for the seniors and for Darren. Pretty much meaning that Darren's career is done there at KU, and understandably so. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick in the NBA, one would think, barring he slips down due to what happened kind of in the during the season, with of course not being available some of those times. So we'll see. There you go. That's kind of the. Let's see. Let's get to the walk-off. We have to get to the walk-off. Here we go.
Mahomes flings it. It's there! Hardman! Jackpot! Kansas City!
Some new head coaches in new places in men's college basketball, and I think none more interesting, in my opinion, than Syracuse bringing back Jerry McNamara. Saw the news yesterday that the Siena head coach, who almost upset Duke in the first round, is set to return to his alma mater where his jersey hangs in the rafters. But Jerry McNamara, as I called a few days ago, I said I expect Jerry McNamara to be back at Syracuse when they fired their head coach. I think Jerry McNamara is going to be back there after he was a longtime assistant there after playing there, and then left to go to Siena for a couple of years, and now will be back at Syracuse. Duke's John Shire, who many people would consider to be one of the better coaches maybe in all of college basketball, said he was outcoached by him in the first round in a game where Duke had to come from behind late to get the win. But I think GMAC's going to be a really good head coach there at Syracuse. Really, really good. I also saw that Cincinnati head coach Wes Miller has been hired by Charlotte here this morning. Quickly in baseball and softball, Colby Community College softball mentioned winners of 4 in a row. They host Cloud County today at Young Memorial Field. Kansas baseball got a sweep of Houston at Hoagland Park over the weekend. K-State avoided getting swept by Arizona State in Manhattan, losing their first Big 12 series. And Nebraska took 2 of 3 from Michigan. A little bit of a baseball update for you there. All right, that'll do it for the program. Thanks again to Riley Gates. Thanks again to you for listening, or which way you're doing so. We will talk to you again tomorrow in 23 hours for a Tuesday edition of the Morning Blitz.
Rocket 102.5 KLOE.